r/AskReddit. What is your fetish and how did it go wrong when trying it? I thought it would be hot if I let my friend bang my girlfriend while I watched for a little bit. It was not. Edit. Holy crap, my first strip in barks ever. I should mention that this was a while ago when I was still young and stupid. I learned my lesson and will never let it happen again. Slaps your forehead with peen. I had a big thing for older women. And I had also always wanted to hook up with a woman I met on a plane, the latter more of a goal than a fetish. Finally in my mid-20s it happened. And I hit it off with a woman 16 years my elder that I met on a flight. And got her number. Yada. 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 After a few weeks of hooking up later, I was over for a visit. When the ex-husband decided to drop off the kids, 12, 14, and 16, an hour early. We were caught mid-act, and the oldest girl almost walked in on us before the door was slammed in her face by her mom. To make matters worse, it was right around the start of the school year, and the dad was dropping off desks or something. While I was quarantined to the bedroom and freaking out, the coug had to come up to get my keys to move my car, so the ex-husband could back his truck into the driveway. I never saw the guy, but he 100% knew I was there. And that was super awkward. Finally, after what felt like an eternally long time to bring in some desks, the ex left, and I proceeded to do the walk of shame in front of her kids. I don't know who had the bigger hit-eating grin, her 14-year-old son, or me when I entered his mom for the first time. Either way, that seemed like a fitting end to the fling to me, and that was the last we saw of each other. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Now you can look a hit-eating 14 years old in the eye and say I ducked your mom. Hey kid, you play Cody. What's your gamer tag? Fisting. She had a very pungent smell that leached into my skin. No amount of hand sanitizer and soap could get the smell out. My hands stunk like musty vag for about 3 days afterwards. Should have made some bread. Kneading the dough gets everything out. It even cleans under your fingernails. LPT, don't eat homemade bread at my house. Cheesy sourdough with sour cream. My ex was really into anime. First she started speaking Japanese during IDK if you can call that Japanese. I mean I don't speak it, but it didn't really sound accurate. Then she asked me to speak Japanese too. I mean, she was my GF. I was really into her. So I watched a lot of hentai to learn some words, even though I was not into it at all. It was becoming really difficult for me to get in the mood when she started speaking in that stereotypical high-pitched hentai girl voice. The fact that she would just kind of lie there not moving, and I had to do all the work was not helping either. But I really liked her, and I wanted to be a supportive BF. Then she bought me a kimono and asked me to wear it in bed. I tried. I really tried. I just couldn't. I felt ridiculous. A few days later I found out she was having sex with her cosplay buddies. Got myself checked. Thank God I was clear and broke up with her. I can't stand anime and manga now. Was reading this and was like damn. This reminds me of my ex. Continued reading. Wow. This really reminds me of my ex. Read the third last paragraph AWW. This has to be me ex. I know it's not my ex. But damn do I understand what you went through. All I can say is that I'm in a very happy and healthy relationship now with someone else. No anime. Yay, one of my exes was so obsessed with anime. She would do that thing you hear in the cartoons in real life. She'd stay up till 7 AM watching Toonami and sleep till like 12:01 as a result. Even when I was sleeping over her parents' house, different rooms. This was just after high school. So I'd be up at 8 or 9. Just waiting for her to wake up. Then came Animal Crossing. She just wouldn't stop playing it. One time was so bad I fell asleep and she didn't notice. Long story short, I hate anything remotely anime or J-rock because of her. Was on top 69.9 with my girlfriend. She squirted really hard. Awesome, right? Unfortunately, the angle we were at shot it directly up my nostrils. Pressure washing my sinuses. That ducking hurt. I recoiled. Sneezed a bunch. But we got back at it. I love her so much. You got waterboarded. waterboarded. Physical domination. It's great on paper, but good god does it tire you out fast. I apparently need a lot more cardio. Maybe you should stop running away then. That's what the rope and shackles are for. Deep. Romantic cream pie. Motherhood. My last girlfriend was very into cream peas, but was also very into nouberings. 10/10ths were due again. I think that's backwards. I think the noubering was very into her. So I have a serious femdom kink, and my ex was an incredibly apt dominatrix. Her living situation at the time was a bit odd though. Herself and her siblings had rented a house in the same estate as her family home, and the window of her bedroom faced the window of her family's kitchen. Her mum was also a fairly social conservative type when it came to ex. So basically, I'm tied to her bed and she's doing all kinds of delightfully wicked things to torture me. When without warning we hear footsteps on the stairs. Apparently we forgot to lock the front door in our lust when we arrived. It was quite a movie cliche making out while going in the door and pushing each other up the stairs kind of arrival. So she instinctively does the only thing she can do and throws a blanket over me. Unfortunately, in her haste, and given that we only had a couple of seconds, it landed on my naked body but didn't obscure either my feet or my arms, all of which were tied to the bedposts. It also pushed straight down on the clothespins she had clamped to my nipples. So as her mum is opening the door, this blanket lands, and I let out a sort of "yeah we elo there how's it going" sort of babble. Now her mum and myself had always got on. Her mum doesn't acknowledge the weirdness of this situation at all. She just starts chatting to me about college and stuff, and then invites me to stay for dinner because they're having my favorite dessert. Grand I say. Sounds good, all the while dying of the searing pain in my nipples, which my GF realizes and shoots me these sadistic smirks out of the corner of her lips, just so only I can notice. After a minute or so her mum excuses herself, but not before motioning with her finger for her daughter to follow her outside, which she does. Now in normal circumstances, you'd expect the parents of someone you're fooling around with to be mad at you when they catch you in the act. But to my astonishment, once my GF had closed the door behind her, I then hear this explosion of shouting in the hall outside, to the effect of "What do you think you're doing to that poor boy? He looks absolutely terrified. Let him go this instant, etc etc." My GF, clearly trying her best to keep a straight face, attempts to fight back with mum. He likes it though, to which the response is like duck, he likes it. He's a nice, normal lad and you can't treat him this way, etc etc. All this time, I'm lying in the bed torn between a desperate need to howl from the pain in my nipples and the overwhelming fit of hysterical laughter I've been fighting to keep buried inside myself ever since this whole thing started. When GF came back in after finally getting rid of her fuming mum, I was severely punished for embarrassing her like that. Dinner that night was one of the most awkward, wanting to die, yet hilarious experiences of my entire life. Lost it that he's a nice, normal lad. Such a mum thing to say, but we know now that he is not, in fact, a normal lad. Pee fetish. Got lot of pee in my mouth. That's not my fetish. Edit. Geez man, my top comment is about getting pee in my mouth. We can't all be Bear Grylls. I wish a Spice Girl would pee on me. Not me, but my friend. They had a big handcuff fetish. My friend handcuffed her hands behind her and started the X. He had the bright idea to also cuff his own hands behind his back. I had to retrieve the keys that were on the top shelf of their closet. They refused to tell me how long they waited to call me. This is amazing. Real MVP. Now if you ever need a weird favor from either of them, you can just pull the handcuff card. Seriously. If I were /you/eat your tail, I would just carry around a card with a picture of handcuffs on them and literally pull it out and wave it at them tauntingly for effect. My fiance likes being choked lightly. One of the first times she told me to do this we were having crazy rough sex, and I ended up making her pass out. Once her eyes were closed I stopped choking her obviously and wasn't sure if she was actually passed out or if she was playing a joke on me, so I kept going. Once she opened her eyes a few seconds later she was back in the game so to speak and didn't ask any questions. I felt bad and couldn't finish, and I haven't really choked her since. You don't have to press to the point of restricting blood flow or even oxygen flow for the recipient to pass out. There are baroreceptors, little blood pressure monitors, in the carotid arteries that when massaged, can lead to syncopial episodes. To be honest, I thought choking was my fetish. It is. But my favorite kind of choke is light. Something about the combination of a man delicately putting pressure while dominanting the duck out of you is very nice. When you and your so are semi into BDSM, it's a delicate balancing act, cause you both like to be choked and you both like to choke. Obligatory edit. My most upvoted comment is now about one of my kinks. Never change. Reddit. Sounds like you're describing an action film. Edit. Come on. This wasn't even that good. Fetish. Dividing soul into parts. Hoping to become immortal. How'd it go wrong? Tried to use the murder of a toddler to create one. But some old magic got in the way and I ended up a disembodied fractured soul in Albania of all places. r/unexpected Hogwarts. Ex-boyfriend liked me to deep throat. I was giving him a BJ. He suddenly grabbed my head and thrust and held my head. I threw up. Not fun. I hate that hit. I love sucking peen, and I love having it pound the back of my throat. That being said, if you shove my head down when I'm not prepared, there's a good chance it will not go well for all involved. As a guy. And this is purely for anthropological reasons. What's it like to be the one sucking, and why is it you love it? And I'm being serious. I always wondered about that. Not really a fetish. But I like doing oral while my partner's busied with something. Watching TV or the like. It's a submissive thing. Shrug. Simply, she was playing video games and kept failing at a level until I, the stupid min-maxer, couldn't take it and I just poked my head up and asked her if she needed help. Apparently that was a major turn off. Whoops. Edit I mean. For the record. Of course it was a bad move. This is the thread for bad moves. I was an idiot for not reading the mood and realizing that my nudge had her completely done for the night. To give more context to the story though, this was during high school, around 5-6 years ago. And she was appeased the next morning when I apologized and made her breakfast in bed. And showed her how to defeat demon walls without getting nuked. Joke was on me anyway. She got the Zodiac weapon anyhow. Apparently I opened a damn chest somewhere. Edit second yes. Final Fantasy 12. I see my people are here. No. She probably isn't sucking other people's cocks given she was a lesbian. But I don't keep up with exes so anything's possible. And I really hope none of my raid team see this, or it's going to be an awkward night. I've always wanted to come on a girl's face, not a very weird fetish, but whatever, so my ex let me try it on her. I came straight into her eye on accident and that was the last time we tried that. I did this to my wife last night. Then I remembered that I always feel bad afterwards. It's like throwing your drink in someone's face. It's like throwing your drink in someone's face. This is a good analogy. Whereas throwing your drink in someone's mouth is just friendly. Well, I thought ducking a gummy bear sounded like a good idea. The lack of preparation kind of ruined it though. Please explain what happened. I followed that comment for a bit before work. Told my GF at the time that I'm into cross-dressing. She cried for hours and asked if I wanted to cut my peen off. Damn, that's brutal. My husband mentioned it. And I thought how hot that could be. I went to the store and bought him some stuff. And he was happy about it. I couldn't follow his roleplay at all, so it felt kind of flat. But I really enjoyed seeing him in women's underwear. What about you? You/I eat children? Hey, I'm the one asking the question here. OPLS. Went to a bukkake party. As something I had seen plenty of scenes of, walking into a room of BBCs is terrifying. I imagine on entrance they all turned in your direction. Fire. Gunned down by barrage of cum shots. I developed a fetish of being bitten from an old fling. So when one of my friends jokingly bit me to scare me, I instinctively released a moan/sharp breath kind of thing, and it was very awkward for a bit. Useless edit. I also enjoy biting now. In Excel contexts of course. Then I forget not everyone likes that. Well, that's what they get for biting people. I really like pregnant women. Friend of mine for a very long time got pregnant and the baby daddy disappeared. We and a group of friends went out, and she chatted quietly to another female friend about getting later, bigger, in her pregnancy, and didn't feel attractive. Later that night I subtly took her aside and told her she looked beautiful and should feel beautiful. She laughed and said, who on this earth thinks a pregnant woman with bloated boobs is beautiful? I told her I sure as hell did. She did have very nice upper proportions. We ended up hanging out playing Oblivion, and she said she thought about what I said, and it meant a lot. Fast forward a few nights and we are in the sack. Damn good ex that night up until 4 days until she popped. Still great friends. 10/10ths were due again. And she was Asian, so 10/10ths with rice. If you had ex that close to her giving birth, do you count it as a threesome? Put my finger up my boyfriend's ass. Was not clean. 100% would not recommend. I'm not sure what to think. I mean, putting fingers up buttholes is certainly not my fetish. But when I stuck my finger up my ex-girlfriend's butt, it was gross, but not that big of a deal. I mean, my finger smelled like poop, but I still did it several times after that. Like it wasn't even my fetish. But I still did it. Despite the gross factor. How could you not power through? This guy ducks.